Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the audience across the world. This is Illyas. I work as the Group Chief Information Security Officer at Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank, based in Abu Dhabi. First of all, let me thank and let me congratulate the Cocoon organizers for carrying on with this wonderful event, attended by thousands across the world. We missed the physical on-premise event, but at least we are making it virtually this year. Thank you for the opportunity. Cyber security, as everyone in the field agrees, is a very challenging domain. Very rewarding, but very interesting. But always there are different types and different mode of challenges what we face. As a CISO working in a bank, the challenges could be technical, procedural, political, and the aggressive nature of business adoption to digital technologies. So the COVID, in fact, really exponentially increased the pace at which these challenges are posed to us. Because COVID time demanded access from anywhere, remote access from any systems. And within no time, we have to provide that infrastructure or capability to work from home, to study online, to do shopping, and to do all activities online. Yes, many of the organization had preliminary capability and capacity to do that. But at the same time, many did not have, or many are like partially were ready to, support that. So that posed challenges to security professionals, CISOs across the world. On top of that, the financial stress on organizations demanded more and more cloud and digital and shared services, and optimize the physical premise requirement by supporting more working from home, remote working capacity or capability. So what it posed is that at some point of time in the past, mostly we were restricted with the boundaries. We had perimeters, we have a network. That is something which we have to be focused to protect. We have the systems and information and services that are inside a perimeter which needed to be protected. And we were able to focus on that, and anything outside is somewhat limited. But what happened is the boundaries are changing now. The boundaries have changed. What all data and services and users which were in a premise, in a network, or across geographical boundaries but still in their logical network, is being changed to people working from anywhere, services hosted anywhere. The whole mesh setup where people have to work from home and but needs to access systems or services inside the network in our organizational network boundaries, or even some of the services which are hosted outside, the complexities associated, the performance requirement, the speed of actions, and the overall customer or the user experience demanded more flexibility, more ease of use. So as we can see, now data and applications hosted across multiple clouds, data centers, number of users being increased, number of remote users, number of users who use their personal machines or any public machines to access our network and systems and services have been increased exponentially. The IoT devices and the industrial systems connected to internet and the whole dependency on technology and digital world for any business, any activity have been increased exponentially. One of the very familiar area is like the education system. The education system had to completely rely on online setup. So as a CISO, already we have a lot of problems to protect from all these bad guys. So many different types of attacks and everyday vulnerabilities and attacks and modus of operandi changes and the frauds. All of this made our life already miserable. And now we have this mechanism or challenges to support the business to be flexible in such a way that nothing, no physical boundaries, no physical restrictions, no device restriction, no user restriction, and no information location wise restrictions possible. Information has to flow, services has to be accessed from anywhere, systems have to be traveled. You have to be having the flexibility of all of this to be a new age organization. A new age organization that is ready for new normal require that flexibility. So what it throws challenges to technology and security is that we have to be evolved. We have to be exponentially or expedited manner. We have to evolve into a new age CISOs, new age security professionals that is positive, that they are positive business enabling and business empowering CISOs. Traditionally, we have a lot of challenges as a information security itself. Some organization has the internal authority issues, reporting structure problems, misalignment between organizational strategy and objectives and the technology and the security objectives. And mostly people focus on reactive approaches instead of being proactive, instead of being a holistic approach. Mostly organizations and CISOs depends upon technology as a technology driven function. With the disappearing boundaries, with the expedited changes that is driven by the COVID scenario, which was actually happening in the past, I mean, although at a slower pace in many organizations. But that's all the pace, the model, the requirement, the whole rationale has been changed drastically during last couple of years. And the whole idea of identity and data-centric security become more important, more common and more relevant now. Instead of perimeter-centric, boundary-specific security controls, we need to look at the identity of the user and device. And the access management become very important. The controls needs to be applied based on the risk posed by the user or the machine. Now, if they are inside our network, maybe the controls can be a bit relaxed. But when they are outside the network, maybe the control has to be enhanced. And when they are outside the country, maybe even bigger kind of or better restrictions. So, and also the access or the identity could be dynamically validated, because it could be used by someone else, by an unauthorized person hijacking an account and trying to do certain activity that this particular user should not be doing. All of this pose a continuous identity evaluation for user and access. So that is from a very technical or tactical perspective. But the whole scenario of this boundary or disappearing boundaries, still the approach a good CISO, a capable CISO has to take is still relevant. I mean, whatever we were doing as a CISO in a holistic approach, by ensuring the integrity and availability and confidentiality through right people, process and technology controls, is still applicable. Also, the other factor that needs to be really we have to revisit. See, security in my terms is simple. Security is to ensure confidentiality, integrity, availability by having right controls in people, process, technology. So whatever the scenario, whatever the world is changed, the new paradigm shift happened, the new normal, but our basic security principles still intact. And that's the what I mentioned earlier. So some of the other principles we follow normally in security when we learn this, when we start security career and initial basics, fundamentals, is that access needs to be based on least privilege. Whatever you need to do certain work, that is the only access you should be provided. Nothing more, nothing less. So in this disappearing boundaries, and people who are outside, people who are at home, people across the world and accessing, and identity is becoming very, very common and focused. The important factor we need to remember is that the whole new terminologies, new concepts coming up are based on what is a fundamental principle. I mean, least privilege, multi-level defense, need to have. All of these basic concepts are still applicable and drives the whole security world. So SASE and cybersecurity mesh are two of the terms that is coming up, or even organizations started to leverage, because the whole security controls which were in our network, inside our network, are not able to be applied on someone who is sitting at home and accessing a cloud-based service which is outside our network. Doesn't have to come to our internal network to validate or restrict or control, which, because it will put a lot of performance impact to the whole journey of the user experience, and the whole load it could put on the network could be high. So instead of coming to the internal network, organizations are now moving on a cloud-based security controls. And even the zero trust network is where nobody is trusted, everything is based on the particular situation and particular access requirement, irrespective of who is the user. So if it is a cloud service or even if it is an internal network access, all of these are being kind of managed and governed through a control plane in the new technology and security environment. So in this zero trust deployment, it actually needs some of these capabilities. It needs to have very strong authentication mechanisms. You need to automate as much as possible. You have to have the data classification and control and protection to ensure that the right access is being provided. All of this applied in an effective method can provide you the zero trust concepts or zero trust approach to security. Again, you cannot achieve the whole zero trust capability on day one. You have to take a phased approach towards a more mature and comprehensive, robust zero trust environment for your organization. So you can start in a minimal manner and then extend to a much more integrated with micro segmentation, with adaptive and continuous access based on adaptive and continuous risk assessment and risk authorization and user authorization and authentication and authorization of the users. So some of the key benefits of having zero trust and those approaches are it really avoid users to go inside the network in cases where they have to access services on outside the cloud, but at the same time you will have much better control in terms of protecting the organization and the users from any threats, even if it is evolving threats. As a CISO, these technical concepts like zero trust, SASE, like security as a service, be used to avoid users to go inside for security control, validation or effectiveness. All of these concepts are nice and the technical advancements are important for organization. But at the same time, some of the approach, some of the leadership capabilities of CISOs are pretty important to make sure that the whole transition or transformation of organization to much more flexible, much more agile, by having the right approach instead of putting or planning for all the security controls and tighten up and doesn't give the flexibility for business to grow and adapt to the new normal. So some of them is actually now in this pandemic triggered remote access or collaboration tools or new cloud services. You may not be able to have all the security controls on day one. So we need to be approached in an agile manner. So what is agile manner is we have to be understanding what are the key risks that we cannot compromise on day one. So we need to ensure that those risks are mitigated on day one and have an agile approach so that the remaining risk or gaps are getting addressed and closed and mitigated in an ongoing basis without posing any risk to the organization. So we have to be, as a CISO, we have to be more agile and more flexible as a business enabler. That doesn't mean that we have to compromise on security. So what I meant to say is that we need to be understanding the business challenges. We need to understand the risk profile. We need to be prioritize what are the risks that needs to be immediately addressed and what are the risks that needs to be closed in an ongoing basis. You have to be to do that, unless you understand the business challenges, unless you understand the business risk now, especially the pandemic thrown financial and economical stress, and unless you understand what is the technical pieces that work functions and also a risk mindset, it is very difficult. So CISOs who has the combination of these skill set, this domain expertise, or at least to have the open mind to look into that, will be able to perform better, will be able to be successful as a CISO who really can drive business development, business enhancement without compromising on security. So what is the approach we can take in general for security transformation by CISOs? We have to understand the current state. That could be not specific to the whole change in the way we function and all, but at least if you are coming as a new CISO or you're taking up a bit more structured approach, you need to understand what is my current state, what is the whole gaps in my environment. That could be to support the existing requirements of the business or technology, or that could be for the future requirements that is being driven by the whole new normal. So we can have a transformation or a transition program to remediate the identified gaps and risk and prioritize fixing of the gaps in a manner that is best could be if we take it in an agile method. Because you have to maybe get many things fixed in no time, but at the same time we cannot be focusing on everything within a shorter period. So we need to understand what is the key risk, key areas where we have to focus so that we don't lose time and effort on less priority, less risky areas. So based on that, you can have a transformation program. Again, you have to understand your risk appetite of the organization, where you need to define your organizational cybersecurity risk appetite in alignment with the organizational risk appetite. What is the risk you can take? We are going with cloud, and there is risk more than it's an on-premise setup. But that is the risk your organization is ready to take. And from a cybersecurity perspective, you understand that what is that cloud security risk you are going to take, what is the mitigation measures, and how do you kind of compensate or have complementary or compensatory control that can reduce the risk, but at the same time still the organization may be taking certain elevated risk in terms of cloud because of the financial speed of market and other business benefit that we are looking at as a business. So as I highlighted, CISOs has to be a business enabler. They have to ensure customer satisfaction as one of the preliminary component or concept they need to depend on. That's something which is normally CISOs and security professionals kept as the last item in their agenda. But I would say the best way to have more effective security, the best way to get the best buy-in from executives and other functions and other steering committee and other management team is to demonstrate security as a customer focused entity or function. You ensure that customer satisfaction is there with the right security that could be transparent, that could be flexible without compromising the organizational risk posture, but you can still make people comfortable in using the systems and services with the right security. So you have to be innovative in that to come up with solutions like that. We need to make sure that we are aligned with the business, because if you don't understand what is the direction business is going, including the new normal, including how the new strategy comes up, what is the changes in there, and be proactive in that to make sure that your security strategy is aligned, your security activities are aligned, and you are proactive in ensuring the right control environment for the whole business strategy to be executed, the technology strategy to be executed. So you have to be ready. As late as you, that much challenging it will be for you to put the controls that may either delay the projects, either delay the business plans, or it may be you may be compromising on security. So you have to be proactive in a very fast manner so that you can design and implement the right controls for the organizational requirements and expectation. And you have to be agile, as I mentioned. Maybe you don't have to have every controls from day one. You identify what are the key controls, key risks you have to mitigate, and then work from there. So you can have your team with a core team with highly skilled people to optimize, because the challenge currently with CISOs and information security and across organization is the cost optimization challenges. So how to be more efficient? Have the core team, highly skilled team, and then maybe you need to identify fresh, different, capable resources who can be molded and trained to support your overall objective. So that model could work in a more efficient manner to deliver what you want, but with lesser cost. Also, you have to find ways how can you optimize the existing solutions and technology that is being already bought and implemented in your organization without buying a lot of new solutions and software before you really utilizing the existing technologies that could be able to provide the same functionality. As I mentioned, this is something patented for us or something we designed internally. So all the security approach in security projects and even in projects where we need to apply security, we formulated a agile approach so that we can be much faster and quicker in restricting or mitigating the risk, but at the same time without delaying the other technology and business projects. We need to be risk based. The whole cybersecurity is how to manage the risk. We have to identify the risk and prioritize the risk mitigation plans with right controls based on a cost benefit analysis. So maybe there is a cheaper solution, cheaper mitigation measure that could be getting the same controls compared to a more costlier solution. Information security function, information security capabilities by a new age CISO should be at least covering all of these pieces. You need to have a strategy. You need to define your goal in cybersecurity, you need to have process, technology, and governance. You need to have the right policies and procedures. You need to have metrics to measure. You need to have the right security architecture. You need to have the right infrastructure in the best way to manage the risk and reduce the risk to protect the organization. So this is a case study where how an organization could be really looking at protecting the organization from all the different type of cyber risk. The objective is obviously is confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information and services, with the customer experience as one of the fundamental pillar. The other part is obviously the risk addressing. These are the pandemic driven approach changes or focused approach changes. We need to ensure that we can enable the remote working or working from home or working from anywhere capability by addressing, at the same time we need to address the risk, and we need to ensure the customer experience is maintained. Customer could be our internal staff or an external customer. So this really demonstrates how to be more proactive and supportive to the business to enable them to deliver or go faster time, improve the time for market, improve the business enhancement, and at the same time provide the flexibility and facility to work from anywhere, to use anywhere, to provide more and more digital services to customers without thinking about security or risk. So that is something our responsibility to ensure that transparently we take care of the risk and we manage the risk in a very effective but an agile manner. So business can go ahead with providing options, because if you stop physical visit and due to pandemic or any other reason, now more and more people are interested on digital channels for faster access, faster services, and less headache. So we need to provide as a CISO the platform that has the right security control to enable the business to provide these services to the end users. So this is my final summary slide. In nutshell, the new age CISO, yes, I agree the same thing is applicable even before pandemic and in the past, but more and more significance and more importance to this is very visible, that to be a successful CISO, to be a business enabling success factor would really can make huge changes, because the whole pandemic shown that the practical importance of business continuity and cybersecurity. If you don't have the right cybersecurity controls, right cybersecurity measures, we could not have go online, we could not have do e-learning, we could not have do digitally enabled services. The whole during the last couple of years, the many businesses survived, many activities were able to continued because of having the online digital platform. And imagine those without the right security controls. Although there are many cases of breaches and many frauds, and people who were on the physical world, the criminals who were on the physical world have moved to the digital world, but still things were continued and things were happened, and many of the services were continued because of having technology infrastructure, because of the security professionals worked to protect their organization at least till certain extent. So how to make sure that that is being effective, that is long lasting, it will be continued, and it is ready for the next challenges, is to have the strategic approach in security that is aligned with the business and technology strategy, having the right governance, and have identity driven and data driven security controls rather than perimeter based controls, adopt to the latest and new model of security tools and solutions and services, that could be even cloud based services, and understand the threat landscape. Make sure that you know what is the threats that are relevant to your organization based on how you act, what is the field of your business, and the whole approach, I would say, the whole security should be based on risk. We should not put controls, we should not spend money, we should not put effort if the risk is less and acceptable, or there is higher risk areas, higher risk gaps that needs to be fixed, and you forget that and you try to spend time and effort and money on less risky places, then you are actually in the wrong path. You need to understand that your effort should be on a risk based, and cost optimization definitely will be very important. Yes, we are already always have this cost challenges, but we have to find innovative approaches, innovative ways how to maximize the budget available by finding and spending where it is required, and where you can do internal, where you can do differently, where you can identify different approaches. We have to be open. So an open, a positive CISO and security team is very critical for organization, and at the same time we need to be more and more agile, because you cannot have everything 100% protected and secured at any point of time. We need to be always flexible, agile, without compromising on the security, but at the same time enabling business, because if there is no business, no need for a security, no need for a CISO. So business has to make money. We need to provide them the facility and flexibility and capability to go for those business opportunities, explore those digital channels, leverage those platforms, and embrace all of that new things happening, the changes happening, the way we are working is changing. We can be the best people who can give the confidence to the management, to the business, that they can think innovatively, they can think wide to come out with anything without worrying about security, because that is safe in the hands of the CISO and their team. By this, let me wind it up. I am very grateful to Cocoon team for giving me this opportunity, and I'm grateful to all of you to listen to me. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.